up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Corvette rebuild. This is episode number 2. Hope you guys enjoy. We do a lot of wiring, a lot of rebuilding in this episode. We're actually still doing it. The interior's in a million pieces, so hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode. This one might be a little longer. I apologize. Hope you guys enjoy, and if you did, subscribe, like, comment. You know, you got to do it all, and stay tuned. It's very bright out here, but we just pulled a spark plug. I don't even know. We pulled this one, and it is not good. It is not good. It is very, very black. I'm gonna go get a new set, throw them in. We'll do a little bit more work, and then we'll see if she runs any better. Do a little bit of tuning on that carb. I'm sure it's not happy, so we'll see where we can get. For comparison purposes, these are new plugs. You can see they're clean. They got the white tip, the metal. This is the old one that I pulled off. It's just charred all the way up. So we're gonna swap all these out, and hopefully it runs a little better with a little bit of tuning. So I got the other ones changed on the other side pretty easily. I had to crawl under to get the back one. These two are so tight they will not come loose. This one and that far back one. So I'm gonna have to figure out something or get creative or call some help, because I can't seem to break them loose. I've been doing this for like 15 minutes trying to break them loose. So plan B, figure something out.
Eternity later.
Alright guys, it's been a couple days since we've done anything on this. We're working on getting the carb tuned. I got the car spun around. She's not very happy. I put new plugs in it as well. But so these are your stop screws, your sight screws. You got to open these, and when you shake the car, the fuel should drip out. So I just got done tuning those. The float screws as well. Those are what tell how high the float is. So you adjust it by adjusting the nut, keeping the screw tight. So got those adjusted. There's idle air screws as well. Went all the way in and then one turn out, and we're going to see how well it fires up. But I also got some presents in the mail, so let's do a quick unboxing. Alright, to show you guys what I got, let's see what's in the magic bag here. I'll show my address. We got a big tachometer to replace the little one that broke. Gonna try to put it up, move it up here and put it up there, but we'll see how much wire I actually have. We got another little box here. Fuel gauge. Comes with all the same setup and bracket for that, the little U bracket that sits right here. And I got an OBD1 2 connector, so hopefully we can run codes on this thing and it works. If not, so be it. But I'm going to try to figure out where we want the tack, and then I'm thinking, oh, it barely fits. That'd be nice right there. All right, I see I can get it to stay on its own. See, that'd be nice. It's got a shift light and it's got change lights, so yeah, I'm thinking right there. Set the fuel gauge over here, so we'll see what we can do. Alright, we got the tack mounted where we wanted it. It's not very pretty clamp, but it does the job for now. So I'm gonna try to wire everything together. It looks like we got plenty of wire to put it here, so I'm gonna do some heat shrinking. Alright, it looks like we got the tack on, kind of mounted. We got the wires hooked up, and you can see if it works. So kill switch is already on. You can see the voltage over there, but on. Cool. It should already be set to 8 because I had it on a second ago. This is for the shift light for the RPM, and then lights on should be. It's very faint. Lights seem to work, so I'm gonna hide all the wiring, and then we'll crank it over and see if we got the carb tuned. Probably not. We'll probably have to keep tuning it, but we'll see where we get. All right, we got the tack all wired in and nice and hidden through the vent where they originally had it. So now I'm gonna try to mount the fuel pump gauge. Probably not going to do anything with it, at least just wiring wise, but I'm just going to try to put it in and mount it and see if we can get it somewhere we like it. Probably just going to try to put it over here. I'm not sure there's any location I'm really going to like it other than that. Maybe over here, but the wiring will be difficult. I'll have to drill some holes. Fuel gauge set up in a location we like. I just tucked the wires in, reused the hole that was for the old tachometer, but it's starting to look nice in here. We're starting to make it make it look fast. Now we just got to make sure the carb's right, and then it should be good to go. But we're gonna clean some of the wiring mess, clean some of this mess up that I've made in here and out here, and then we'll fire it up and tune the carb, see if it's good to go. Alright guys, what you guys didn't just see was we went to crank it over and the starter was just clunking, not firing. So we fixed the ground on this side of the car, got it grounded to the frame better, and still nothing. So I pulled the starter out. It wasn't really that hard. There's two mounting bolts that you slide right out, 1 and 2, and then you got to take all the wires off the back. It took me like maybe 20 minutes. Super easy. Probably one of the easiest starters I've ever done. I'll get one in the morning, but for the time being, I think we're going to try and delete all of this airblock stuff that we no longer need. Ta-da! Just like that, the airbox is deleted. Lots of space. Now it's very windy and I don't have a lot of time today, so not a lot of recording done. But pulled it out, had to get this whole wheel tub out up to here. Had to take all these little bolts out. Had to get this frame rail out. Pulled it all out pretty much in one piece. So the next step's going to be cutting these off and getting the starter back in.
Meanwhile.
With you, a lot's happened since you saw the Corvette last. We were in the process of making it run a little better, putting new plugs in it, and we just couldn't get it to run. So we got trailered back down here to where we were earlier in the original video, first video. Had some stuff painted over there, that's what you saw. We got the door panel and everything starting to dry. Got it all looking nice. Yes, it's not the prettiest. Yes, I don't care. I don't care at all. It's gonna look better, and that's... The wind is getting really rough out here, but that's what I care about. But the inside of this is completely torn apart. I got a new cigarette lighter to put in there. That's what we're going to put in now. And then we're going to work on getting some of this wiring ran. There's two itty-bitty little nuts all the way down here. You can kind of see the empty nut hole there. And then I had to drop the steering column with more bolt there on the other side with these big old master bolts. And then drop this down so it's nice and wiggly without breaking the plastic, because it's all very brittle. It's all cheap plastic. So we're going to try to wire in that cigarette lighter and we'll see where we get. Alright, so we've torn the center console out of it. You got to pull the shift boot off the shifter. You can see it in there. And the old lighter plug I already pulled out of here. It slid in here, then had a locking nut on the back. There's two screws that hold this plate in. And you gotta wiggle it out. It's a good thing we already had the rest of it apart. It was pretty simple to pull out. And so I'm going to take this cheapo little O'Reilly's lighter adapter. You know, very simple. We're gonna throw it in there, make sure it fits, and then see if we can plug it right in if we get wiring. If not, I'm gonna have to wire it in myself. But it seems to be a pretty simple little 2-prong power and ground. So we're going to throw this in, see if it fits, and see what we can do with it. Alright, we've got that nice and installed in there, and then we're going to take these regular connections, try to hook them right up. If I do have power out of these, then we're just going to leave them. I won't have any way to test it until I hook power back up from the battery, so it's going to be a little wonky to test that, but we'll get it set up. I'm just going to try to plug them into the pre-existing wires and see what happens. Alright, in our quest to eliminate all of the bad wiring, we've pulled out a bunch of wire connections. I actually just pulled out the kill switch, got it wired out, got all the old wiring. I mean, this is jerry-rigged connection to connection. So none of it was wired right. So keep in mind, all of that came out of the car. We've still got the pre-existing starter line that's been tapped in like 3 or 4 times. So I'm thinking about just getting the starter solenoid, like an aftermarket one, just mounting it and just eliminating that, because we got a bunch of wires to tap into. Ground wires run, but it just needs a new terminal in for the starter, or not for the starter, for the block, and then the ground wire will be run. So the only one that I have to finish replacing is the power wire, which is obviously the more difficult one. So get some more wire, get some more of this run, and then we'll see where we're at. After some careful consideration in putting the battery and the battery mount back where it goes. I'm going to attempt to put the battery back where it goes. Yes, I know that means I will have to run a brand new power wire. I think it will look better if we can get the battery back up front where it goes, eliminate all this wiring in the car. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Yes, I just spent the last 2 hours pulling wire out and putting this wire in and getting it all ready to change my mind. Yes, it's irritating. No, I don't care. I'm going to pull it out. We're going to see how it looks, and if I don't like it, then we're going to rerun it. But I think this way I should be able to tap everything into the positive terminals that I need to connect into that solenoid, and just not buy the solenoid at all, because there's a lot of wires that have to be put onto the solenoid, onto the terminals. But if we get it up there right and get the battery hooked up, I think it will fit. It'll just be very tight. So I'm going to get everything rigged up, try to put it up there, and then we'll see what it looks like. Alright, we got the battery box mounted back in. We give it a quick coat of black paint just to make it look nice. It doesn't look that great. I'm not going to get any closer. You can kind of see it from here. But we got to get the rest of these wires ran. The ground wire already pulled out. We're going to get it shut down. Wow. Cut and shortened down. You can see I got the terminal on it already. Got to get under it and cut the wire down, and then we'll wait for it to dry. Alright, so we're underneath the vet. Yeah, no, I probably need to take that can of spray paint down here too and get rid of this ugly white that is just fading. It just needs sanded, and it's too much work. We'll probably might just hit it with a coat of rust, but it is fiberglass, so it's not even going to rust. But right here is where that engine mounting point for the ground. I got the wire cut. Now I got to get a terminal end, put a terminal end on it, and then get it mounted back up right there, which is kind of a pain. But we'll get it back up in that, and then see what we can do with the rest of it. But I really got to get that grounded back on, or we're not going to have any grounding power at all. It has to ground to the block or to the frame. Alright, well that's drying. We got the starter cable wired in, we got the input on it. Now I'm going to put this fancy little red piece about like so. Well, probably should spin it. Yeah, might leave it like that. And just tape it on there. That way we know that this is current all the time, because it is just a black wire with an end. So I want to know that this is power all the time. So we're going to tape that on there, probably something like that, so we know it's power, and then we'll start something else. Nothing fancy, just a little red marker so I know it's power. I got to get some more tape on there. But yep, that's all we're doing, and then we'll start stuff over there. Why you don't cover your wiring with tape and leave it for 20 years in the sun. It just gets this black goop on these white gloves, and it leaves this black goop all over. It gets everywhere. It's all over you, all over the car, all over your clothes. Like, point in case why you don't use electrical tape. But we're tracing the wires from the alternator. This wire should lead all the way to the starter. Being that it does, then we are getting correct power. Probably going to replace that one while I'm replacing everything else with 2 gauge. You see we got our nice power and ground on the tallest dry still. Power and ground we got run to its appropriate places. Still got to get a terminal port for that bottom side, so may not get that done tonight. But the starter cable end is on. It's already on the starter. We just have the main problem is the engine power and engine ground, which it looks a lot better. Alright, we've managed to trace 2 of the wires. I cut it. One, cut 2 other cables. We had to move the distributor tank out of the way. Be very careful not to move this very much, because that is the distributor. So these dinky little wires, these long ones, which are probably 10 gauge, which standard power wire. Alright, new day, new dollar, and more time. So battery's in its place. It looks nice and pretty where it's at. Everything's starting to come together. We got the second alternator power wire run. I'm just going to leave it hanging over there until we get the rest of them run. Now I got to trace the 2 ignition wires that ran behind there. Probably going to run into the car. Not that big of a deal to find. There's a crow. There's a crow. The crow is very loud. But it's a very loud bird. But man, that's just what I need. But no, it's funny. We got the alternator cable run here. And we just got to do the rest of the wires. So I'm going to trace them back, see where they go. Get this, probably just going to leave this one right the way it is, just so we make sure we have power. Because the first couple times I'm not going to start it. We're just going to test it. We're just going to crank it and find out. But we'll see what we get. Alright, I've traced them in, and they go all the way through the firewall into the car. But they go through a plug. They didn't even run into the firewall. So there's no way for me to trace them once they go into the car. So we're faced with a dilemma because I want to get rid of this ring terminal. I don't like this. This is going to have to go. Now, do I just splice it in and tap it into where it's at and just leave it? Or do I run a new wire? I'm not 100% sure. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I've cut the other one, spliced it into this. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm not happy with this connection, but I don't hate it either. It doesn't seem to be loose. This one's going to go though. So I cut it right here. I'm going to run 2 separate wires to where they need to be. And we're going to use the appropriate 10, this is 12, but 12 gauge, which matches what it is. So 12 gauge is close enough, it's okay. I'm not going to use the little 14, it's too small. It's small enough for the little wire that's coming off the alternator. I'm not worried about that, but the actual power wire we want to be 2 gauge. It's close to 10, which I have 12, so it's going to work. That can, so we're going to get that watt tapped in, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Watt tapped in, and then we have the alternator power tapped in as well. So all 4 that were originally connected are reconnected. So we're going to put this 2 gauge ground on, or terminal cover on. Going to have to do a little bit of wiggle on and pressing. Get that snapped on, get it sealed up, and then we'll have the power most of the way in. And just like that, we got the tape on it, we got the heat shrink on it under it, and we got the wires on the ring terminal. So now we're going to feed this down here. You can kind of see through the crack there. Get this one on. You can see all the wires going back to the starter. The starter is the jump point in this car for all the rest of the power. So everything has to jump from there. That's why I was considering a solenoid, but everything's hooked back up. I'm going to do it once over, make sure these connections are all covered. You know, obviously I got to do this connection still. Got to do a couple over there, trace some wires still, but we're getting a lot closer. Wish I would have pulled the camera out sooner. This wire, which looks like a ground wire, was melted to this spray right on the starter. This is probably what our problem was, but I'm glad I'm redoing everything just in case, but I'm going to redo this wire. You can see it was spliced in here. Some careful cutting. I chopped like 2 or 3 pieces off. This is a vacuum line. I'm tracing it all the way back up. It runs to the carburetor. So that probably solves our carburetor problem. Not really the grounding issue per se, but this is definitely the vacuum problem. Although, I don't understand how a vacuum melts. That's interesting, but I'm definitely going to have to get a new hose or new connection for right here, which sucks, but it is what it is. Forever in our quest to make all the wires look better and to eliminate everything we don't need, I've untucked the wires and everything that we needed for those. Just kind of sitting here tucked away now. We've got the main power wire and everything already braided up. Got the power wire tucked away against the wall. Very nice. But we need to get rid of these wires. Need to disconnected. And just make some more room down here. Just make it look a little prettier. I'd like to get this black wire rerun from the sensor, but that's going to be a little difficult considering it didn't want to come out when I put the reds on. So that may not happen. It may just stay like that, but I'll probably zip tie it up at least to here. But it's looking a lot better. A new day, another $1. So last night my phone died. Everything died. The speaker died. The camera died. I mean, I was out here. Everything was dead. So I kept working. We got the sub wire wired in all the way from the front to the back. It's tapped into a new fuse point. Everything is good. We started tracing ignition wires. This is the power. It's weird. Black is power from the starter. Red is power to the starter button. So power all the time. Power only when the button's pushed. So this is our starter ignition turn on button wire, whatever you want to call it. These are already run. They're just run through the door, which is awful. So I'm going to leave them as they are. I'm just going to rerun them, and they should work. I mean, the wiring doesn't look nicked or anything. It doesn't look spliced. It just looks like they ran it incorrectly. So I'm going to run it back through the car the correct way, and then we'll tackle the other ones. I've had just about enough of running back to the garage every time I need something. So I started pulling a bunch of tools out here. But we got the ground wire hooked up. We got the terminal on here, nice and tight. I had to go find another bolt because the one that I had did not go very tight. But we got the case grounded to the frame here. We sanded both this frame rail and the rail under it and the threads, so it's a little harder to get in, which is good. So that's all nice and tight. This is all nice and tight. You can see I can wiggle it. It's not going anywhere. So it's all grounded. All the power's hooked up. Now I just got to go through the rest of these connections, see what has to be hooked up. We got the dummy light halfway hooked up, but it's slowly getting there. All right, guys, welcome back to another day on the Vet. we've got quite a lot of wiring done. Still quite a lot ahead of us. I picked up some new toys. You can see the little microphone we got here. I picked up some new toys as well as some more camera equipment. So this should be nice and fun. We'll go out and take some better clips when we got this done. I'll definitely give you guys a look at all that cool stuff. But you should notice a difference in the audio with the microphones as well. We won't have any more wind noise or any more like low audio, so that should help a lot. We're gonna get the tripod set up over here, and I'm gonna get you guys walk through what I've been doing the last couple days. All right, so I'm gonna lay a diagram out for you guys. So this has just been a mess, let me tell you. We're gonna start, let's start here. Battery. Negative, positive. Negative is run to ground, not worried about that one. Let's see, then we've got alternator, 1, 2 plugs. This one's ground. Then we've got starter. We've got 1, 2, and then it actually connects itself. So let's see, we've got a power line from the alternator. This is big and little, by the way. Power line from the alternator running to the starter. We've got power here going to the starter. We've got 2 wires coming out here. We've got an L and an F. As of right now, let me check. I have the F hooked to the starter, and then we actually have 2 wires. So let's key switch, and then we're gonna have to extend this out. We've got a couple out of here, and we've got a push button as well. And the wires off the push button are really easy to understand. We've got power in from here and power out to here. So the starter assembly is very simple. It's also grounded out on its own. So very simple. What's not so simple is we also have the fuel pump relay and we've got the fuel pump. Oh man, we got a lot. So let's see, we've got quite a couple wires down here off the relay. Let me do some looking, I'll get back. All right, I figured you guys couldn't see it that well. We've got this battery here, grounded, alternator grounded. We've got power to the voltmeter, which is also grounded, so we should be able to see it in the car, but we don't. So it tells me that we've got some weird connection here, which it is kind of a weird connection. There's actually a weird 10 amp fuse right here, so we just kind of, because it is weirdly connected. We've got the starter here, power going in, power coming out from the button. We've got the key, power coming in. It's got a power out to the start button as well. We've got the fuel pump with the 10 amp fuse running to red wire 1. Red wire 2 comes out to the oil sensor, what should be the oil sensor. Because I have an aftermarket fuel or oil sensor, I'm going to have to make sure it's tapped into that wire instead of my wire, or the pre-existing wire, I'm sorry. But you know what I meant. And then we've got the relay, which I've started the trace. And we've got the cab, which this is the little computer plug right here, the little ACL plug, AC or ALDL, ACL, whatever you want to call it. So that's what that is. We've got the wire coming out to here, which was hooked up to the alternator, and as soon as I gave it power, it would build fuel pressure. So this one cannot be connected to live all the time. It's got to be rerouted to somewhere else, and I'm not sure where. So this is as far as we've got so far. After a brief trip to our local O'Reilly's, they've come in handy. Advanced came in handy. O'Reilly's came in handy. AutoZone, don't ever go over there. They never have what you need. But we got a 10 amp, well, a multi-amp fuse holder, but I'm just going to put a 10 amp in. Got multi-fuses to replace all the ones in the fuse box. Got a switch so we can put the fuel pump on a switch. Got some super glue so we can glue the door panels back on. And we're just going to kind of do some of this wiring. I got some labels and we started labeling everything, but I'm going to put the fuel switch about right here. So I'm going to drill that hole out and, oh, I'm tripping over towels. But I'm going to get that cut out and get it figured out here. Let me... Okay, so we've got fuel pump. You've got your turn on, you've got one down here, and all your fuel lines. We're not going to worry about those. So you've got two wires coming out of here. One is positive power that we're going to run to switch. The other side of the switch is just going to come off of battery key on. So then the switch is on, we'll be able to have fuel pressure. This other one runs out, regulates it. This one runs out and regulates it to the fuel gauge. However, neither of these are hooked up. So both of these wires here are the ones that we have to take into the back of, let's see, power, ground 1 and 2, into the back of the fuel gauge, which is, or was right here, but it's this right here. Pretty simple. You got power, ground, and then your level readings there at the bottom. So pretty simple. We might wire that in today, we might not, but it's a very simple setup. You think this looks simple? Look at what else I've been doing. The rest of it is not, I promise. But we're going to do some of this wiring and then we'll get back to you in a minute. We've got the new wire run all the way to the front of the dash. We've got it hooked into here, spliced in. I did it the right way. I put boot crimps on and then I put electrical tape around it because I don't have any more heat shrink for the size wire, but it is what it is. Got a brand new 10 amp fuse in there. Just tuck that away like that. It's beautiful. And then you can see it running all the way up right here. So I'm gonna put a pin connector on these and then tap this into power, and then we'll have the fuel pump rigged in. Alright, so we've got to the point where the lighter switch is wired in. We've tested it. We've got positive and negative connections, so I should be able to push this in, hook the battery up, and get power. So not worried about that anymore. We got all the wires hooked back here for the fuel pump, everything rigged into the switch here. I know it's a little sideways, but that's because I've been moving this around. I've been trying to get some of this interior back in. You can see we got the wires coming out of it here. Just got them tapped in. This is a boot and then electrical tape. All of these are. They're not just electrical tape, don't worry. I just ran out of heat shrink and I don't feel like buying a new pack to have to take all. I'm not doing it. So they all got soldered, they all got boot crimped, and then they got taped. And I think they'll be fine. So now that that's on there, we're going to try to put some more of this back together, put some more of the engine bay back together, and then we'll go for crank. And just like that, about 10 minutes later, we got the dash back in. Had to sink our own screws because the clips back here are lost, but I don't really care. It goes with the misfit look. Next thing is get the tack back up here, get the steering column mounted back up where it goes, and then we got to get all these wires tucked up, put back, and we got to get this kick cover back on, OED sensor back on, and then plug the computer in, and we'll try for crank. It's going to be a mess. It's already a mess, but it's looking so much better. We have power. Power has been restored. Yes, sir. All right, you can see key is on. We have volts. We have lights on the dash. We have gauge lights. Fan kicks on, so it seems that all accessory powers, including the fuel pump, I know it works. I tested the pressure a second ago. The sub, all the lights, all the interior accessories seem to be working. The only reason the brake lights are still on right now is because I have the brake booster pulled out. I still have a couple things left on my list to finish before we go for crank, like putting this back where it goes. I got to tighten the bolts on the starter, little stuff like that, but we're going to get those things knocked out and go for crank. Also got to put this relay back where it goes. I think I'm going to try to tape up some of these because these are bad. Oh, they're so bad. So the next step on getting it ready for crank is replacing all of these fuses, and I'll include a picture of what they should look like. But none of these are pretty much where they go. They're not in the right spots. So I'm going to put the correct fuses in here, include a couple diagrams of what they're supposed to look like, just so you guys can see what it's supposed to look like compared to what it does look like, because I mean, I'll put them here, but you can very well see that they're not the same, and that there should be some 10 amp fuses where there's not 10 amp fuses, and 5 amp fuses where there's 30 amp fuses, and it's all wrong. So I pulled up an 88 350 diagram and an 84 350 diagram, and we're going to put them both in here the correct way and see what it looks like. Alright, that looks a lot better. A lot better. Everything's got the right fuse in it. Everything's in here tight. A little wiggly, but tight. All the way down. See, none of them moving. Only had one blown, which was this blue one here. Gonna have to Google see what that one is. But the rest of them looked good. I just swapped them out for the correct one, so we're closer to cranking. Alright, with the starter not cranking, I'm going to have to do a lot more research and do a lot more Googling into the wiring of this car and into the way the starter works, because I thought I had it figured out, but apparently I don't. Also might have to go pick up a new starter, so this is going to be it for the video. Sorry we didn't get a lot done, sorry we didn't get the car cranked, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, remember, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, do them all. We'll see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned. If you have any ideas on what's wrong with the Vette, please, for the love of God, tell me, because I am so confused right now. I'm such at a loss. Rebuilding everything. This is all, I've done stuff like this before, but to go this deep into it is something new for me. So I love learning, and I love being able to post it for you guys. And like I said, if you guys got any helps or tricks, make sure you leave them down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.